All right, wonderful. Well, welcome once again, everyone. We are so happy to have you all here with us today. I am Jen Miller, Community Manager with Practice Better, and I'm joined by Sam Nicholson. Sam is our Customer Success Specialist. Hey, Sam.
Hi there.
Yeah, so this session, as you all know, is all about getting started on Practice Better. So we just want to cover a couple housekeeping items before we dive in. So feel free to use the chat as we go along in today's session for any questions that you might have. We will try to get to as many as we can, but of course, probably we can't get to every single one, but just know that we have lots of resources available for you that we're going to share at the end. So if you do have follow-up questions or anything like that, we will share your resources at the end. I see a question about the replay. Yes, so this is going to be up on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to access that replay on our YouTube channel in a day or two following this session, okay? So you can always go back to it if you have to drop off early and whatnot. One other thing before we dive in is just that we always really value and appreciate your feedback. So same goes for today's session. At the end of the session, you'll see a pop-up with a survey. It'll just take 1 minute to complete, just to share your thoughts on the session. It really helps us inform and improve, our resources and trainings and things like that for you going forward. So always really appreciate that. I'm going to put that link into the chat just in case anyone has to run early as well. Okay. Amazing. So let's get started today. So we're going to be showing you how easy it is to get started on Practice Better. So you're going to learn how to add your first service, set up your availability, create and customize your first intake form for your client, and also create your first note template. We're also going to walk through the booking experience from the client's view and show you how to do that. And then also at the end, sort of see how all your work really comes together in the client recent activity page. Okay, so we're looking forward to sharing that. So let's dive in. We're going to go ahead and share our screen. So Sam's going to share his screen. We'll turn our cameras off so we can really highlight the platform here. All right, amazing. So let me just get my camera off. Perfect. And if you want to just let us know in the chat, make sure you can actually see Sam's screen okay. Looks good on my end, but just give us a yes or a thumbs up if that looks good on your end as well. I see a hand raised, yes. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. So the first thing we are going to dive into today is setting up a service. So setting up your first service. And maybe just while we're sort of setting the stage for this one, let us know in the chat if you have set up your first service yet or not. So let us know in the chat. But your services are basically what you are going to offer your clients and how you will work with them. So these can be set up for your one-on-one sessions with clients or even for group sessions, depending on, who you work with and what you offer. So it could be something like, a discovery call, an initial consultation, a group coaching session, and so on. So those are just a couple examples. So when setting up your services, as you'll see in a moment here, you can get really specific on the settings for your services. So things like your payment info, how you want to actually conduct the service, and so on. So we'll show you that in a moment. The other thing to mention when it comes to services too is that you're really setting the stage for the type of experience your client will have, because you're able to really, like we said, customize the service, the description, all of the details, the reminder emails for the client, and so on. And so it kind of can set the client up for success in a way because they're given all of the pertinent information about the service, upon booking that service. So it sort of sets them up for success and sets those expectations. Okay, so we're going to walk through. So Sam's going to show us how easy it is to set up your first service. So Sam, you can go ahead and navigate there. And and I just wanted to call out in the chat, I saw kind of a mix. We've got some of you who have set up services, you're sort of in progress, some haven't. So hopefully this will, support you and meet you where you're at. So we'll let Sam take it away with our services here.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone. So as Jen outlined, services are a great way to structure your encounters with clients. You can create group services, which allow you to schedule sessions with multiple clients or individual sessions for one-on-one encounters. Today, we're going to focus on setting up an individual one. So to do that, we're first going to navigate to My Practice and select My Services here. In the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to select the fast action icon, and we're going to select Add Service. From here, you'll see the option to do a one-on-one service or a group service. So we're going to select the one-on-one option. And then in the service add service window, you'll see a bunch of options appear. The very first thing you're going to want to do is give a name to your service. So today we're going to create an initial consultation. And as I'm sure many of you do, and we're going to set the duration of the initial consultation to be a 30-minute service. You'll notice there are other features here, such as adding a description where you can outline what your service entails to your clients, as well as adding terms and conditions, which allow you to display things such as a cancellation policy or disclaimer to your clients. Now we'll scroll down to the payment options, and here you'll see how you can configure your payment and how that will work for this service. So you'll see that we can either set a fixed fee, which will be the total cost of your service all in, or we can set up an ongoing payment if you plan to structure the service as like an indefinite membership, and if you want to charge clients on a recurring basis. So for this, I'm just going to select fixed fee, and we're going to make the fee $100. And below, you can also configure how the payment will be collected. If you want clients to enroll first and pay later, you can select hide fee or display fee, and that will allow them to book without paying. If you'd like the client to be charged automatically as part of the booking process, you can select suggest or required to pay a booking. For now, I'm just going to leave this as display fee. And you can also set it in their client portal. So when they request sessions there, you can set different options for that. Below, the service availability options allow you to configure how you will be seeing your clients. This will be presented to them when they're booking a session. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and select online video chat because I just want this session to be conducted virtually. This will book the session using either our built-in telehealth that we offer, or if you have Zoom linked by Zoom, if you've set that as your default. So here below, you'll see there's a ton of booking options, such as configuring buffer times if you want to allow those, as well as allowing double booking. So I would recommend for this, for all the different ways that you can configure your services, to check out our help article called Working with Services, because it goes into all of these features in much more detail. For now, I'm just going to leave all of this as their defaults. Another important feature we're going to want to talk about here is the booking restrictions tab. This allows you to select whether you want to have the service public or private. Public means that your clients can request sessions on your public booking page, which we will show shortly. Private is meant for practitioners who prefer to schedule their own sessions and will only allow clients to book if the session is part of a package or when the link to the session is shared directly by yourself. Because I want clients to book this, I'm going to leave this as public. And below, you'll also see that we can change the email templates that are sent by default by the system on our Plus plan. And you can also edit session reminders so that your clients can be reminded of upcoming sessions. Now, the last thing I want to point out here is there is a tab at the top for advanced options, which has some more in-depth settings that you can set up for your service. This includes enabling an option to capture a client's credit card as part of the booking process, which can be mapped to their record automatically, or setting up payment plans and deposits, as well as adding booking page forms, which allow clients to complete forms before they're able to book the service with you. Now that we have created the service, I will select Save at the top, select Done, and the service that I created now appears in My Services. One other thing I want to point out in this session is that you can select, beside the service that we just created, the 3 dots icon, and you can select the Invite to Book option here. This will send your client an invitation to book the service directly. And when you select this, you can also customize the message that is sent to the client, and you can even suggest a specific date for the booking if you want to see them on a specific date. Another option here is the duplicate option, which allows you to create similar services. So for example, if I wanted to create a service that has similar structure to my initial consultation, I could just select duplicate and change any settings that I require. So now that we've done that, we have created our first service, and I will send it back to Jen.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Sam. So Hopefully that was supportive and just showing you how easy it is to really set up your first service. In this case, we used the initial consultation as an example. And yeah, it's nice because as you saw, like there's a lot of different ways you can customize your service. Everything from the duration, the payment options, how the client's able to book, how you can collect that credit card if needed, and so on. So you can really get granular with all of the details within your service, which is going to set you up for success when the client books, because it'll just mitigate any back and forth or miscommunication, and everything's just sort of streamlined there for you. So I see a question here from Donna. I did set one up and did it wrong. How do I delete it? Yeah, Sam, do you mind just showing the 3 dots and how they can delete that quickly?
Absolutely. So to delete the service, you could just select the 3 dots icon and just scroll here and select delete. Another thing to note too is that your services can be changed at any time. So if you just want to change a couple things about the service, you can just select the edit option here and change. Your services aren't permanent, so you can change them at any time.
Yeah, thanks for that, Sam. Yeah, great question, Donna. Perfect. All right, wonderful. So let's shift into the next step in really getting started in the platform here, which is really important as well, is determining when exactly you're available to meet your clients, right? So this is our availability feature, and this really dictates when the client will be able to book sessions with you. So when you set up your availability, which we're going to show you in a moment, the clients won't be able to book a session outside of that availability window unless you manually approve it. So when you're setting up your availability, you can get really detailed and granular, determining, the hours each day you want to open up that booking, and the type of service you want to put in that availability slot, the different locations if you work at different locations, and so on. So a couple examples to just sort of maybe help this make sense is, maybe you only take your initial consultations from Monday to Thursday and you keep your Fridays free of sessions. So that's where your availability would come in, and you would just set up the availability slot from Monday to Thursday, which we're going to show you in a moment. Another example could be, maybe there are certain sessions you want to only have take place virtually or on the phone, and others that require the client to be in person with you if you do have a physical location, and you can set all of that up within the availability as well. So it just really helps to ensure that everything runs really smoothly for you, again, with your booking process, and mitigating any back and forth of clients booking at a time that doesn't actually work, or getting double booked, or anything along those lines. It just really helps you manage your calendar and bookings really seamlessly. So Sam, I'll hand it over to you to show us how we can set up our availability.
Thanks, Jen. So now as Jen mentioned that we've created the service, we'll create the availability so that your clients can book the service. So we're going to do this by navigating to My Practice at the top here, and then selecting the My Availability tab. So as you mentioned, let's create an availability slot for the service we created, because I want to offer this initial consultation from Monday to Thursday from 9 to 5 p.m. To do this, we're first going to select the fast action button in the bottom right-hand corner, and we're going to select one-on-one services, because the initial consultation we created was a one-on-one service. When we do this, the edit availability window will open, and I can select when I would like the service to be available. So I'm going to leave this for now as 9 to 5 because that's what I want. And then I'm going to select the date for the availability to start on next Monday, but you can have it start whenever you like. Now that I've done this, we're going to see this option here, and this is an important option. It says that this time slot recurs, which I'm going to enable. If you enable this, it means that this availability slot will appear on a recurring basis. You can customize this to repeat daily, weekly, or monthly. I want this to be available every Monday to Thursday, so I'm going to leave this to repeat weekly every 1 week. And underneath here where it says repeats on, I'm going to enable Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And now all of those days will be selected for the availability. The last step for this process is you're going to want to enable your service availability here. So what this does is it controls what services are available for clients to book at this time. As I only want to have my initial consultation available, I'm going to enable that here. And then you'll notice when I expand it that it defaults to the online video chat option because that's how I created my service to be booked. But if you offered it in person or by telephone, you could specify which options you would like available at this time. That's the last step. And now that we're done, we're going to go ahead and select save. And once we've done that, you'll see the availability slot that I just created is now here from Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5 p.m. And clients have the ability to request sessions with you. So I will send it back to Jen now.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So yeah, really simple to set up that availability slot as you saw there. And thanks, Sam, for sharing some of the ways you can really customize some of those settings within your availability. Again, just to ensure that your booking process runs really smooth for both the client and yourself. I did see a question here from Lois around, is their calendar syncing? Yeah, so we have an integration with Google Calendar that you can integrate. Maybe Sam, just hover over the settings icon just to show them, or sorry, the little gear icon just to show them where the third-party integration. We don't need to go there, but just, yeah, so you would just head to third-party integration, and that's where you can link up your Google Calendar, and that will ensure that anything you have booked off in your Google Calendar will not be available within Practice Better. So it'll block that off, so you don't have to worry about that. Good question. And Talia had asked, can you create buffer time in between meetings? Yes, you can, Talia. So that was one of the settings when you're setting up your service. So that's within that service options there. So you can definitely set that up for yourself. All right, let's shift into our next section here. So now that we have our service and our availability set up, one step that we really recommend and we really wanted to highlight today that's important is to actually test drive your booking from the client's view. Okay, so this is not only going to give you insight into what the client sees on their end when booking with you, and then, with that allows you to better answer maybe any questions they might have and so on, but it will also ensure that everything has been set up correctly and, as you had planned for. And so this is something we recommend in, many different areas of the platform, but specifically when we're looking at your booking process, it's a really nice sort of peace of mind opportunity to test that out and make sure it's working smoothly. So Sam, let's take a look at how we can actually test drive our booking link from the client's view.
Awesome, that sounds good. So to quickly, now that we've done the service and availability, to quickly check that everything's working smoothly, let's review booking the service that we just created. So to do this, we're going to go to My Practice and go to My Services. And then we're going to go back to those three dots icon I was showing you earlier. So we're going to select those three dots beside our initial consultation, and we're going to do the share link option. So when you do this, it allows your clients to, it allows you to see how the booking process is going to look from your client's perspective. So we're going to select visit page, and you should be able to, Jen, are you still able to see when I go over to the new page?
Yeah, looks great. Yeah.
Awesome, perfect. So when the new page opens, you'll see here that there's these little green circles. So these are the availability that we just created in the My Availability section. So from here, what you can do is you can select an available time. So let's go ahead and select Monday. And then from here, the time will populate, or the availability that you set is populated. And I can go ahead and select whatever time I'd like between 9 to 5 that's available. I'll go ahead and select 1:45 here. From here, you would just select next. And then if you wanted to, you could go ahead and complete the booking process. So you can enter your first name, last name, email address, and phone number here, and be able to see how that whole process works. So what we normally recommend for this is to go ahead and create a test client account for yourself. This is something that we kind of always recommend to people who are new to our platform, because a test client allows you to create a client account and then basically browse the platform from their perspective. So you can see everything, how everything will look when you're sharing it with your clients, such as the booking that we're doing here. So to learn how to configure this, definitely check out our help article called Setting Up a Test Client, and go ahead and create one for yourself to see exactly how it looks.
Yeah, and I just put that link in the chat for everyone as well. Anytime we refer to a help article, we'll put that in the chat for you. So I just put that in for everyone.
Oh, thanks, Jen. That's perfect. So yeah, that's essentially how it worked. Basically, you would enter, if you, let's say you're doing this as a test client, you would enter the information here. You would select next at the bottom, then you would select confirm and book, and the session would be booked and it would be all taken care of. So one more thing I want to highlight about this is the booking process I just outlined was just for one specific service, which was in this case, the initial consultation service. But by default, you can also use your public booking page, which will show any services, packages, or programs that are listed as public here, where you can see this little public icon. So in order to access this, you just need to navigate to the gear icon at the top of Practice Better. From here, you go ahead and select Share My Link. And then all you need to do is just copy, this is generated by the system automatically. You would just need to copy this link and paste it into a new tab. And you can share this, this link on your personal website, for example, if you want clients to click book now and then be directed to book all your sessions. Or you can also share it on social media such as Facebook if you want your clients to be able to click it and book from there as well. But that's essentially how the booking process would look from the client perspective. So I'll send it back to Jen now to talk about forms.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So yeah, I love that you showed sort of both booking options. So just to sort of recap that, the first one we showed there was just a specific booking link for a single service. So for that initial consultation. And then this link here on the public booking page is for all of your public services and packages and programs as well. So just depending, you may choose to use the individual service link in certain places on your website or social media or in a newsletter even, just depending on, where you want to direct the client and what exactly you want them to book. Okay, so just wanted to confirm that piece. I see a question from Lois. Do you website pages? So maybe do you have website pages? So not exactly. We do have, the public booking pages, the booking pages for your services. But we don't have, a formal sort of website. So if you do want to, design a website, that would be a separate platform. Okay. So we're going to shift into our next section here. So with Practice Better, another really important step of getting set up is creating forms. So collecting information from your clients, and that's, typically something you'll want to do when you're getting started, right, is to maybe put out an intake form for them and be able to collect that information. So within Practice Better, you actually can create custom forms right within the platform. You can start from scratch, or you can use a template, and we're going to show you the template in a moment here. And really the benefit of having forms in the platform is that clients can then fill them out and submit them electronically. So it all happens virtually. They can even sign, you can add like a signature field virtually as well. So it just really helps streamline that form process and that collection of information. It's, reducing any sort of back and forth with them needing to like print out the form, fill it out, scan it, send it back, that kind of thing. And just, adds sometimes a little bit more even of a barrier to them actually completing it when it's a little more cumbersome versus having it, right virtually in the platform. They can just complete that in a few clicks right on their device, whether that's their computer, their iPad, their phone, really, really simple for them. So today we're going to look at creating your first intake questionnaire. So that's an important step in getting set up to make sure you can collect the information you need from the client. So maybe their health information, their family history, desired outcomes and goals, and so on. And just ensuring you have that information to set you up for success prior to the first session together. So Sam, let's take a look at how we can really easily set up the first intake questionnaire.
Awesome, can do. And I did see a question that we had about, while we could dive into the forms, about forms being submitted at a later date. You can absolutely do that. Your clients can select save progress and return to forms later. And there's also a question about telehealth visits, and those can be conducted within Practice Better. Definitely search our help center for telehealth, and you'll be able to get more information about that. So for intake forms themselves, the very first thing we're going to want to do to create forms is we're going to want to go to the My Practice and then the Forms and Waivers section. From here, any form that you've created in the system will appear. And to create a new one, we can just go ahead and select the fast action button in the bottom right-hand corner. This will allow you to either create a form from a built-in template that we have within Practice Better, or if you select the create form icon here, you can create one completely from scratch. So for this, let's go ahead and select the create from template option. And we're going to use, you'll see all the templates that we offer are available here. But for now, let's use the intake questionnaire because that's a very common one that people use. From here, you're going to receive a prompt notifying you that the form uses placeholders, which will automatically pull in information from the client's record. I'll discuss that more in the notes section that we're going to talk about, but these are optional and can be removed. So you can just go ahead and select got it. So once you do this, the create form window will open and it's going to pre-populate with the intake questionnaire form. So we'll see here that we have sections such as basic information. There's a family history section that was pre-populated, personal health history, and so on. So from here, basically what this is meant to do is allow you to customize the intake form for how you would like it to be. So to do this, you can either select the pencil icon here, which is to edit the section, or if you don't require this section in your own form, you can also select the trash icon here to delete it. So this allows you to customize it however you'd like. And just give you an idea of what that looks like, let's go ahead and just delete our family history section here. We'll delete the sections within it as well. And then now, if I didn't require that, that wouldn't be displayed to the clients. Another thing to note here is that there are many types of elements on the right-hand side that you can add to a form. We have things such as a yes/no question, multiple choice, as well as checkboxes. There's really a lot you can do with forms, so I would definitely recommend checking out our Creating Forms and Waivers help articles and playing around with this yourself to get an idea of what you can do with them. So now that we are finished, we can go ahead at the top and select Save and Exit. And once done, the questionnaire that I created will appear in the Forms and Waivers section and will be accessible at any time. So another thing to note is there are many ways that forms can be sent to clients. This includes using the public booking page form I mentioned earlier, as well as automations, which allow forms to be sent when a booking or package is confirmed. You can also opt to complete the forms on your client's behalf by selecting the 3 dots icon beside the form and selecting Complete for Client. Once you complete it this way, it will be available in the client's forms and waiver section as if they had completed it themselves. However, I find that the simplest way to send a form to a client is just to select the Send to Client option here. So we'll go ahead and click that. And when we do so, you can select the client that you would like to send it to. So I'll send it to our client, Mary. You can also opt to send other forms at the same time if you would like. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and select the intake questionnaire form. And I will go ahead and select Send. And then I will confirm and send. And now what will happen is this form is available for Mary to complete, and it will be available for her in her client portal as well as an email notification that she'll receive. So I'll send it back to Jen now.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, so forms are just one of our favorite features. I mean, it's just so nice to be able to have all of that right in the platform, to be able to collect that important information from your client super seamlessly, right? And as Sam showed, you have those templates pre-existing in the platform to give you a starting point, and then you can go in and tweak it and, you know, add your own questions, or you can start from scratch if you have your own form. But that template option just really gives you, you know, an option to save a lot of time and to kind of have somewhere to start from. And as Sam mentioned too, there's many different ways to send those forms to your clients, including a few automations and things along that line. I see a question about forms here. Can you import forms? So not specifically, like you can upload like a PDF form if you wanted, but it's going to stay as PDF or as a document. It's not going to automatically create it as a fillable form in the platform. So if you wanted to actually have that be a fillable form, you would need to sort of rebuild your form into the platform. You know, so that's available for you there. Okay, good question. All right. Wonderful. So yeah, so definitely check out forms. And again, getting started with the initial like intake questionnaire is typically where we see practitioners start. But forms can be used in many different ways. You can even see on Sam's screen here, there's like a SMART goals form, a feedback survey, a nutrition assessment, and so on. So there's many different ways you can use a form. Really, it's just a way to collect that information that you want from your client. Okay. I see a question from Amy on Zoom. Yes, so we do have an integration with Zoom, and if you need to be HIPAA compliant, you would actually purchase the HIPAA compliant version of Zoom from Zoom. So that's all done through Zoom themselves. Okay. Greg asked, can I upload IFM forms? So it would be a similar process, Greg, that you would need to sort of rebuild that form if you wanted that specific form in the platform. You also can receive support from our team to build those out for you for a fee. So that's available to you. Good question. Let's just see here. Bonnie says, can you require the form to be filled out before/at the time of booking? Yeah, so Bonnie, I'll just mention, so with one of our automations, you can actually set that up to automatically send a form a certain amount of time before a specific session. So, maybe you want the client to complete that, let's say 2 days or 3 days before your session, you can set up that automation to do so. And that will ensure that that goes out. You don't have to actually manually send it, and that will, have them complete it before you meet. Okay. Saba says, is there an integrated Google Meets for HIPAA compliancy? So we don't have an integration with Google Meet. So that would be something that would be outside of the platform. All right. All right. Let's shift into our next section here. Another really important step to getting set up with Practice Better, sort of getting started, is, as you start to work with clients, you'll definitely want to be compiling your notes, right? So your session notes, your charting notes, to really stay informed on what's going on with the client, keep that record. You can even start to, notice trends during your time working together when you have those really organized notes you can refer back to. So, with the note-taking process, sometimes this can be a little bit like time consuming and cumbersome, which is why we have something called note templates. So this is something that we really love to help save you a bit of time. And so a note template is basically a template you can set up for yourself that's sort of one and done for your session notes that you can use over and over again with the same client or with multiple clients. So basically, you're sort of inputting into the template, maybe different prompts for yourself or questions that you want to make sure you ask during that session and so on. So you sort of can give yourself this outline that you can use for your session notes. So having this as a template that you can just use over and over again, it really mitigates having to, copy and paste from like previous client notes or kind of reinvent the wheel each time you take notes. It's just going to save you a lot of time. You can also create, multiple note templates for different types of sessions. So we're going to show you in just a moment creating one for your initial consultation notes. But, let's say you have different prompts or questions or a format for like a follow-up session, or even if you have a certain niche area, maybe like a gut health session note template, or things like that. So you can, you can use it in different ways. So Sam, let's take a look at how we can set up our first note template.
Sure thing. Thanks, Jen. So I did see a couple questions. I think, Dana, you had mentioned about your Google Calendar integration. So I would recommend checking our help articles for this, but you can set your Google Calendar events to be available or busy. If they're set as busy, that means they're going to block out sessions in Practice Better in your availability slots. If they're marked as available, that means that they won't. And then we had a few questions about Calendly. At this time, we don't have a direct integration with Calendly. Our scheduling system is kind of meant to have all the scheduling done on the platform, so we wouldn't have a direct integration with Calendly. So let's get back onto note templates here. So as Jen discussed, there are all sorts of great ways you can use note templates. So we're going to go ahead and create one together. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and select My Practice, and we will select Note Templates here. When you select the Fast Action button, which as you've noticed is a recurring theme in any section of Practice Better, we're going to have the option here to either create from template or create template. So create template is if you're creating it from scratch, whereas create from template, similar to the forms that we just did, is building it from a pre-existing Practice Better template. So let's go ahead and select the create from template option. And then for this, we're going to go ahead and these are the ones that are in our system. And we're going to go ahead and select the initial consultation session notes here. And then similar to the form that we just created, the note template will populate with pre-built elements that you can see here. This is meant to save you time, so you don't necessarily have to build the entire note template out yourself. And on the right-hand side here, you're going to see the elements similar to the form section. And you can use these elements to do things like add text for yourself. You can, again, add yes, no, or checkboxes. And there's also more in-depth options such as grids and tables. You can really customize these however you'd like and kind of create the note template that best suits you on a recurring basis. And you probably notice when I open this that there's these in the text section, there's these sessions, these things called placeholders with the percentage signs. What these are meant to draw information from the client's, pardon me, the client's record right into the notes. So for example, the one up here, the one that says contact name, when you're creating the note for the client, this will pull the client's name directly into the note, saving you the time of having to manually enter it. There are placeholders for different aspects of the platform. So to best optimize them for yourself, you can check out our placeholders help article, which will tell you what each one covers and how you can configure it. So now that we're finished with the note template, let's go ahead and select Save Template and Exit at the top here. And then as Jen outlined, because note templates are meant to be reused with different clients for common encounters, let's go ahead and pull up our client and create a note from them for them using this template that we just built. So to do this, I'm going to navigate to my clients at the top here, and I'm going to select my client, Mary. And from here, we're going to go ahead and select the Notes tab. In the Notes tab, we're going to go ahead and select the Fast Action button again, and we're going to select Add Notes. When we do this, if you're on the team plan, which I am, you can select which practitioner the note is for. And then this is the important part where you can use the template that we just created to build this note specifically for the client. So let's go ahead and select the initial consultation session notes, and the information will pre-populate with the information from the template. So you'll see here the placeholder that I mentioned earlier pulled in Mary's information such as her name and her date of birth. An important part about this section that I want to highlight too is there's an option that can be enabled that says share notes and attach documents with my client. When you enable this, your clients will be able to view this note in their client portal. You can opt to make certain sections of this note visible if you want to keep some of the note private just for your own review. By default, all sections will be disabled. To enable any section, you would just need to select the eyeball icon on the left-hand side here. So let's scroll down to the very bottom of our note, and we'll select, because I want to share the plans section with them, we'll select the eye icon beside that. And then now, when the client were to view this note, they would just see this section here. So now that we're finished, we'll go ahead and select Save at the top. And because the note is finalized, I'm going to go ahead and select Sign and Save. And then you can select the date prepared, which I will select as today. And then you can also opt to send your client a notification. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and select Skip Notification. And then once we've done that, the note that we've created will appear here and will be, you can refer back to it at any time. And that's kind of how it works in terms of creating a note template and then using that specific note template with your clients. So I'll send it back to Jen now.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Yeah, so creating that template for your notes, as you saw, it can save so much time, because even something like the placeholder text, as you saw there, that can just pull all of that information right from the client's record into the notes so that you can refer to that easily as you're taking notes with the client. And then I also love that you can actually only make certain sections of the note visible to the client. I think that's so handy, whether it's a plan that you want to share with them right away, or even just a couple notes on a couple recommendations you don't want to forget to send them. You can just pop that into the note, make that section visible, and then you don't have to worry about remembering to follow up or send a follow-up note. It's just done like right away when you complete that note. So I think that's just a really great feature within the note. All right, so let's see here. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next section, and then we'll try our best to answer any other questions at the end as well. Again, just as a reminder, we aren't able to get to every single question today, but we're going to review at the end all of the resources that are available for you following this session as well, okay? All right, so now we're going to highlight, where all of this work and getting started on the platform really starts to come together. And that's by walking through your client's recent activity page. So as you start to introduce clients into your practice, Practice Better will start to keep a client record of all of their activity. So as the practitioner, this is really nice because it sort of gives you this basically timeline of important events in your client's health journey, their bookings, their notes, their tasks, completed forms, and more, just in one comprehensive place. Everything relevant to them will be found in their client record and on their client activity page. So one of the biggest things to highlight here before we share this is just really the convenience of having all of that, at your fingertips in one place for your client, and being able to, like I said, really see this holistic picture of all the work that's going on with your client in real time. So you're never, spending time kind of navigating in all these different places of the platform to find something about your client. You have one place you can go to find everything. Okay, so Sam, let's take a look at Mary's client record and her recent activity page.
Sure thing. Thanks, Jen. So you'll see here, as you were outlining, any activity that a client has done appears here in their recent activity stream. You can filter this activity if you want to see what a client has done. This option is here. And this can include things such as booked sessions, received or completed forms, or received protocols. There's all sorts of different options though. And then as well, you can also filter by date. This allows you to see when clients did a specific activity. So for Mary, for example, let's go ahead and filter her book sessions. And let's filter that by August of 2021. And this will show all the booking related activity that she did in that time frame. You'll notice here too, there's also options on the right side for widgets. And this allows you to quickly view things like upcoming sessions that you have with the client, booking requests that they've submitted, or tasks that you've assigned them. From here, when your client logs into their own client portal, they will also have these widgets available, and they'll be able to see all of this information at a glance as well. Another important thing to note about the recent activities stream is you also can create and pin notes to this section to remind yourself of important client information, such as like allergies or even status updates. So for example, if we were to enter Mary picked up her supplement recommendations here, if I spell that correctly, and then what you can do here is select add note, and then this note will appear right at the top of the stream. And then one very cool thing about this section that I think would be very handy is you can select this pin to top icon here, this little pin. This allows you to perpetually pin the note to the top of the client's recent activity stream. So that way, if you have any kind of important notes that you need to refer to yourself when you're having an encounter with this client, you can just pin this right to the top of the recent activity section, and you'll always be aware of it when you have like an upcoming session with them. So it's also important to note that activity you have done to the client's record will be tracked here as well. So I'm going to remove the filters that I enabled earlier. And any activity that is linked to like an email notification will be displayed here. So for example, I sent Mary a form here, and the email delivered icon means that our mail logs have noted that the mail has been successfully delivered and that your client has received this notification via email. If you do ever see statuses such as like bounced or failed, then that means that there was something preventing the clients from receiving it. And you may just want to reach out to them using like the secure chat feature in the bottom right-hand corner, just to let them know that you tried to send them that information. And then the last thing to note about the client's recent activity section that's really handy is you can click on items in the feed to be directed there right away. So for example, I created an invoice for Mary, and if I were to click on that invoice, it would direct me right to it, where I could quickly see like what I billed them, as well as other relevant information. And that applies for various sections of the platform. And those are kind of like the main features of the recent activity section. So Jen, I'll send it back to you to wrap it up.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, so I see a couple questions about the recent activity stream there, just around the delivered icon there. Does that mean that the client has opened it? So no, it doesn't necessarily. It just means that the email was successfully delivered to them. We don't have the capability to show if it's been opened or not. So it'll just say if it's been delivered. But that's a good question. Okay, we probably have time for maybe one or two more questions here, and then we'll have to wrap things up. I did see a question back to forms around, can you print out the form to write in person, to write it on in person for in-person meetings? So you can actually like create a PDF preview of any form, and then you could print that off. So yes, you can definitely do that. With that, again, because you're writing on it manually, you would likely want to either then go in and complete it for the client, as Sam showed you can do that, or you could also, simply scan it and put it into their documents folder if you wanted. So those are just a couple options there. All right, amazing. So one last question here. So do we need to get Zoom separately? I thought you had telehealth option. Yeah, good question, Meredith. So, well, let's clarify that. So Practice Better has a built-in telehealth feature that is going to allow you to host virtual sessions with one-on-one clients only. So if you're hosting just with one client, then you just use the built-in telehealth feature in Practice Better and you don't need Zoom. But if you do want to have sessions with groups of clients, or you want to be able to say record the session, that's another benefit of Zoom, then you would need to use the Zoom integration. Okay, so that's sort of the basic difference between the two. But if you're just doing one-on-one sessions, you don't need to record them, then you can definitely just use the built-in telehealth option that's right in Practice Better. And because it's built into the platform, it's going to be HIPAA compliant and all of that. So you don't have to worry about that piece as well. Okay. All right. I know we're right at the end of our time today, so I want to respect everyone's time and sort of close up our session today. So Sam, let's turn our cameras back on. As we do that here, we can stop sharing our screen. And let me just make you the host so you can turn your camera back on too. So we hope the session was valuable today, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Just to sort of, summarize what we went over today, we went through some of the essential steps to get set up, adding your services and your availability for those services, looking at the booking experience from the client's view, which we really recommend that you do as well using a test client, how you can create and customize your first intake form, note template as well, and then looking at how that all really comes together in the client recent activity tab, which we love that as well. So if you have follow-up questions from today's session, we have a few resources for you. So I mentioned that a few times, and I'm going to copy these over into the chat so you can review this as I walk through them with you here. But we've got our really wonderful, extensive, and user-friendly help center. So that's definitely the quickest way to find answers to your questions. I put a link there. We also have our YouTube channel. This has a variety of tutorial videos and deep dives on certain features. It's also where you're going to find the replay for this session. So if you do want to watch this again, it'll be up on our YouTube channel in the next day or so. Last thing to mention, if you are on a paid Practice Better plan, you have access to our private Inner Circle Facebook group. So this is a really great way to find answers to your questions, as well as support from your fellow Practice Better community members, okay? So again, that's available if you are on a paid plan as sort of a perk and a feature of that paid plan. All right, thank you everyone so much for being here. Again, as we end the session, you're going to see a feedback survey. If you can take 1 minute to complete it, we really value that. Again, it helps us inform and really improve any trainings and offerings we have for you going forward. I'm going to put that link in the chat as well, but we would really appreciate your time to complete that for us. All right, thank you all so very much for being here. Sam and I really enjoyed connecting with you and hope this was helpful, and we will see you again next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.